What is going on, everybody? Hey, I hope you are doing well. We are back for another episode of the Ccpodcast. I don't know if we're ever going to tell you what it is. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe when we need to change up the logo when we go world-class famous, you know what I mean? But we're back for another episode, and we're excited about what we're talking about today. We got a couple different topics for you. At the beginning, we're going to be discussing kind of what we would do if we won the lottery and a few different scenarios there that Jacob has prepared for us to kind of think through. And then the end of the podcast, we're going to be discussing how to respectfully, in a way that is healthy, have a good relationship with your parents. We understand that students come at it from so many different angles. There's so many different home experiences that you guys have. And so just being able to discuss our own story, our own background with family, parents, those sorts of things. And then also in retrospect, looking back, how we would have done it differently, how we would advise you guys to walk situations well in those things that happen at home. Because sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. But we just want to discuss that a little bit towards the end. And so I'm going to throw it over to Jacob Allen Nielsen, my good friend. We are both sponsored by LaCroix. Just know what you do. Send us our paycheck. I didn't introduce you at the beginning, so I'm sorry about that. I just kind of kept rolling. But this is Jacob. Right. Everybody knows him because he's world famous for being super cute.
What's up, everybody? Excited that you guys are here joining us. We're on episode 6, dude. We're straight up rolling. We're going to have a big anniversary party for Big 10, you know what I mean, when we hit double digits. You know what I'm saying? Have a release party. P. Diddy's going to come out. We're going to do all white, everything white from the beverages. We're going to only serve milk to all the way down to the clothing, everything dripping in white. We're going to look like we're sponsored by milk by the end of it, not just LaCroix. Excited.
Kanye's coming out.
What? Kanye?
Kanye's coming out. Yeah.
Kanye's coming out.
He's performing live on like a song.
Yeah, dude, that's what I heard. A brand new song.
Yeah, from his new album.
Yep, it's called Whiter Than Snow. Okay. Anyways, excited that you guys are with us. So I'm going to introduce the first topic. You already heard Mike talk about it a little bit. We just wanted to see what the other would do if they won $1 million. So I understand you hit the lottery. There's taxes that are taken out. I get that. I understand. Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to tell me the rules. I get how the lottery works. But we're doing $1 million after taxes. So I don't know. Maybe you win $1,800,000. I don't know how much taxes take out for specifically for the lottery. But anyways, it's $1 million after taxes. What would we do with that money? How would we spend it? Where would we spend it? Who's getting the most candy? You know what I mean? What's our candy budget look like? Because your boy just wants to spend half of it on Sour Patch gummy worms or Sour Patch Kids. So anyways, Mike, let me hear what you do with $1 million.
So this is something that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about. I was talking to my sister and brother-in-law the other day, and they were saying this is something that they just talk about all the time. Like, what would we do? It's just a common conversation for them. So,
okay.
I think for me, first, obviously, I would give back. You know, I'd give back to the Lord a tithe. So that's just kind of a given.
So is that 10%?
I would be prayerful about it. It would be at least 10%.
Okay, so
it would be at least
possibly 100. I'm trying to keep track of
Okay, so let's say $100,000. So I have $900,000 left. Okay. What I'm probably doing from there is going to take a big chunk and make a down payment on a house. Okay. What I would do is probably buy a house that gets me within like a mortgage payment of like what I'm currently paying in rent. So something that I can financially continue to sustain, but putting a big enough down payment on a house so it's like that. And around here,
got it.
So that's the thing. I would probably get a house honestly in the neighborhood that I live in. It's really nice. It's quiet. The houses are nice. Okay. You know, I can't complain. I love it.
Oh, that might be a pricey neighborhood.
It's very pricey, dude. It's very pricey, bro.
Okay.
It's very pricey.
All right. So down payment.
If I can afford it, whatever. Down payment on a house. Let's say it's an expensive house. I got to put down $500,000. Okay. Oh, so now I have $400,000 left of my money. What I'm probably doing part of the reason why I want a house is obviously we're having a baby. So I would want a house. I think
Right.
the next thing is if you have a house with places to entertain, I think it's just a really good place to be able to do ministry and have relationship
Ministry.
with people. And
Agreed.
so being able to invite people over, being able to celebrate whatever it is that we are with people. Hannah and I have always wanted our home to be open to people, but it's hard when your home is small. You know what I mean? And so that's that. Next, so I got 400 grand left. I'm taking on at least over half of the rest of that, probably 250 to $300,000, and I'm just investing it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That's probably what I'm doing. I'm just going to let it sit there for the next 40 years and then just gain some money. You know what I mean?
Oh, a
That's my game
retirement
plan.
plan.
That retirement plan. Yep.
I
And then
like
I
that.
probably am leaving $100,000
Ooh.
open for whatever. I'm not buying big stuff. Like I want the
Candy
house.
expenses.
No, but like there is
How many
things like I was
Yeezys?
talking.
How many pair of Yeezys are you buying? How many? How many?
I would probably buy at least 5 pairs of shoes.
Okay.
No, but
That's
listen,
what I
listen,
wanted to
listen.
hear. Okay,
I
keep
told
going.
like
Keep going.
that extra $100,000. Like I honestly,
Right.
I would want to live like a very similar. Like I wouldn't be living much different. I would just have a house.
Okay.
But that extra 100 grand, I would want to like. I was talking to you the other day. I was like, "Yo, if I had the money,
Right.
I'd love to buy you this Travis Scott's. Like, I would love to
Totally.
be able to do some stuff like that, just to give to people that want, like, just can't afford to get stupid things that they want. Like, you don't
Right.
need a pair of $700 pair of shoes, but it'd be cool to have them. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And
Agreed.
so I think I would do stuff like that. Have just a little bit of a backup plan or a little bit of money in the bank. But then also have making money for retirement so we can retire well.
Gotcha. What's your 7-Eleven? What's your 7-Eleven budget looking like?
7-Eleven budget.
Yeah.
Let's just say I'm reaching out to Red Bull and I'm just gonna be like, hey man, let me just sign a lifetime deal, 100K
Oh,
unlimited Red Bull for the rest of my life.
wow. Okay.
Not
You're
really,
reaching out.
but
No.
like I'm
No.
definitely gonna have a lot of Red Bull.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I was talking to Hannah this week. I was like, they should make a non-caffeinated Red Bull just because I love the taste so much. I was like, because it was 7:30 at night, and I'm like, I want a Red Bull. I drank a Red Bull. I was up till 3 a.m. and I was mad,
Oh.
but I wanted it because it tasted so good in my soul.
Oh, that's psychotic.
Dude, that's where
Dude,
I'm at, bro.
you have issues.
Let me live, bro.
Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing till 3 a.m.? What are you watching? What are you doing at that late?
I'm watching sermons though. Most of the time, I'm either
What?
reading or watching sermons. Yeah, dude. I'm just out here learning, trying to grow, man.
What?
Use it for good.
Whose sermons are you listening to at 3 a.m.?
I was listening to Andy Stanley. Is what I was listening to the other day because I was listening to. I have access
Thessalonian
to.
series?
Dude, shut up! You suck. You're stupid.
I'm just playing.
I don't know. Whoever people that I think are
Okay.
good communicators. I like to try to learn. I want to grow. I want to be a better communicator, and also if I grow spiritually, praise God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I'm just.
All
I
right, your
just find it
turn for me
funny.
to make fun of you. What are you
Okay.
doing with your $100 million?
All right. Probably same with you. 10%, 100 grand straight to the church, instant. Number two, I think I want to help my mom. Just at least pay off her house. She has a good job, but
Yeah.
she would just pay it off so then she could just live her life. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Which I don't know. Let's say she has like 250,000 left. I don't know how much she has. So, what is that?
You're sitting at 650.
650. Okay. Next up, gosh, I don't want to be in an apartment because like you, I think it's a good opportunity for ministry, just to be able to have a big space to entertain and have people over and to feel homey and to invite people into your life. Like, I think that's super important for ministry.
Love that.
So for sure, dude, LaCroix gives me burps, dude. I don't care what you say.
What gives you the farts that sometimes come on the sound when we're on calls?
Oh, dude, it gives me. I think this is a really sad thing, but I think I'm becoming lactose intolerant in my older age. I know.
I think that's
it
the
happens.
enemy. That's
I
the
know.
enemy.
It's the enemy. It's sin, dude. It's brokenness in this world that
That's
was
an
caused
rebellion.
by original sin.
Dude, quesadillas gone. Pizza, gone. Milk and cookies, gone.
But it doesn't hurt my stomach. It just makes me fart a lot.
Yeah,
So
it gets worse, I think.
I
When
think so
people
too.
develop that when they get older, I think it gets worse over time.
Yeah, I think so too. So not good, not excited about that. Maybe we'll shed a tear. Who knows? Because your boy loves dairy. Anyways, do I got a little half and half in my coffee? Absolutely. Anyways, so let's say I got, a down payment on a house. We'll go 2-bedroom, backyard, 200,000. Let's say I'll put down, or 200,000.
You're only getting
So,
2-bedroom house?
or a 3-bedroom. I guess that's like a standard Lakewood is 3-bedroom, huh?
Yeah, because then you're gonna need more room once you have a baby.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we'll go 3-bedroom house. We'll still go like 200,000 down, 250,000 down. So I'm about like 400,000, let's say. After that, I'm not saving anything. You know what I mean? Sorry, Tyler Gilly. I'm not investing none of it, dude. I'm going reckless. I'm getting
Dude.
reckless at this point. All right, so let's see. Number one, $10,000 vacation to Hawaii, all expenses paid, living lavish, getting tan on the beaches. You know what I mean? I'm going on every like tour, every scuba dive trip, every expense I could be paid. I want fans.
Private jet to Hawaii.
That's what I want, dude. I want a jet ski. You know what I mean? I want people feeding me grapes. I want to live like a king for like 10 days
They
straight.
got like flowers, just
Yeah.
or like leaves.
Yes, bro. Yeah, so at least $10,000 there. I'm buying a jet ski, just one. You know what I'm saying? I just want a jet ski around Long Beach Harbor by myself. Just your boy hitting the waves, just you know what I mean? Just skidding out, dusting people, just flashing people left and right, getting pulled over by the harbor, police people. Um, at that point, and then I just want to buy a sick old classic car. I don't even know what kind, but
Yeah.
I want lowrider. I want to hit the stoplights and then be doing this. You know what I mean? Embarrassing people. Sabrina sitting in the passenger seat getting embarrassed, blushed cheeks. Students in the back loving it, getting hyped up, bumping music the whole time. So I'd say at least like $40,000-$50,000. I don't know. Maybe like, dude, honestly, now maybe throw some money at that, dude. Night of worship.
That would be high.
Maybe make it super dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe just like one super sick event, like for just for everybody. Not just like specifically high school related, but just like seed money just to get some super sick event going.
For sure.
And then I would invest some of it. So I'd hit my boy Tyler Gilly up.
You have to.
And I'd say, give me $200,000 in gold bricks. I'm gonna bury it in my backyard.
Stupid.
And so just put $200,000 in gold bricks in my backyard. And then, like Drake said, put my money in the grave. You know what I'm saying?
What does that even mean?
When I die, put my money in the grave.
Oh, like from the song. Gotcha.
Yeah, from the song. Because he doesn't want anybody to spend his money because he earned it. Mods and Rust. You know what I'm saying?
I'm currently trying to calculate how much money I would have if I were to put $300,000 into an account for 40 years, so until you retire, just standard 25 to 65, and just let's say it gets 7%. That may be high, but $300,000. I put it in today. In 40 years, I take it out with not putting any more money into that account. At the end, for 40 years, it would be worth $4.5 million. So that's why your boy's doing that.
Dude, all I have to say to that,
enjoy your jet ski.
I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. You know what I'm saying?
It's so dumb.
I'm eating steaks every night. You know what I'm saying?
Are you hiring a chef?
No, I won't hire a chef. I'll cook myself.
Okay. You're Jeff Bezos rich. Are you having an in-house chef? Like they live in a wing of your house and they're cooking every single meal.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos rich for sure.
100%.
I'm not touching a skillet ever.
Dude,
again.
I'd be in such good health because they'd
Yeah.
make like the good food for you
Right.
taste good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wouldn't have
Yeah.
to cook it or clean it
So
up.
so true. And then like you just get to live lavish, you know?
Yeah,
You know what would be sick though? If I had enough money to where I'd feel comfortable doing ministry for free. Like that
for
would be sick.
sure,
That'd be
for
sick.
sure.
Because
Yeah,
like it's a weird aspect getting paid for doing ministry, I think, anyways. But it'd be super sick. I think that's like everybody's dream, right? Is to be able to like do
hundred
ministry for
percent,
free and like a
100%.
in a way that we're doing ministry now. Like the services we're able to provide. Maybe
Yeah,
not like right now in quarantine, but like in normal life, you know?
for sure. I completely
Anyways.
agree. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would definitely take more than $1 million over the
Right.
course of
Right.
your whole working life. Um,
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, for sure, that's another thing I've actually thought about and talked about with Hannah. I was like, if we were to, I don't even do the lottery, so I talk about it, but I've never even bought a lotto ticket. Like I've bought
Right.
scratchers, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just it would be cool to be able to do that because I think there'd just be less like um like a conflict of interest in like why you do some things at work. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
like there's sometimes a tension where I'm like, I don't really want to do this, and I also don't sometimes see the benefit for my students per se,
Right.
but it's
Sure.
part of my job, and like I need to do that for my job. Like
I
I
feel
don't
that.
enjoy doing credit card reports. I don't want to do that. You
Oh.
know what I mean? Like
Oh.
I don't enjoy filling out a time card. I don't enjoy doing that. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
But I have to.
gosh.
But I have to. It's part of my
Right.
job.
Right.
You know. And if money
Yeah.
wasn't a thing, I'd be like, hey man, I'm really sorry. Uh, I don't really want to do the time card.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Like
Dude.
I was here working. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I'm just thinking, of what it would look like just me driving off on a jet ski into the sunset, you know what I mean, with a pack of LaCroix in the
Mm,
back little crate area, just like this, into the sunset, shirt off, looking tan, hair
I'll
flowing in the wind. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's
let them know, dude. Let them
what
know.
I'm saying. Um,
That is sick.
all all right, so I think it's time to jump into
Cool.
conversation number two.
Cool.
So the topic is, what is the best way for students to have a good relationship with their parents? What are some things that we've experienced as obviously we
Yeah.
have lived with our parents for 18, 21 years.
Yeah.
What have we learned, what have we gleaned? Start there. So do you have any insight anywhere? You kind of want us to talk about like your relationship with your parents first, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Let me. I want to preface just to our students that are
Sure.
listening
Sure.
that Jacob and I understand that some of you, if you are listening, are in a situation that your home life is not good.
Right.
Like some of you are dealing with things that are really, really difficult, and it's just not healthy. But for the most part, most of you have parents that love you, want the best for you. Um, but that doesn't change the fact that it can be frustrating at times, especially in your adolescence and junior high and high school, and feel like your parents are the worst. And
Right.
so just know that we know that we've experienced that ourselves. And so if we, I'm going to say, or I'll say right now, that your parents aren't as bad as you think they are. For some of you, you're in situations that it doesn't fall under that category. So don't feel like I'm saying if your situation's hard that we are diminishing that in any way. We're just kind of generally speaking. So that's my kind of preface as I go into kind of my background with my parents as well. I grew up in the church, like a lot of you guys know. And so if you grew up in the church, you probably have had times where you felt like your parents were way too controlling. You felt like they didn't allow you to have freedom. You got things later than a lot of your friends did. Those sorts of things. You felt like your parents were overprotective, all of that kind of stuff. And that creates kind of a rub between you and your parents at that age. Junior high and high school is just a tough time. And so, what I would say to you is that your parents are doing it out of love for you, number one. And number two, as you get older and you get farther and farther away from those times where it was extremely frustrating, which the frustration you're feeling is completely real. And it's okay to feel those things. But as you look back later on in life, a lot of time you'll see um, kind of the reasons why parents have led you in the way that they've led you. Like I think about, for example, um, the fact that my parents had me go to private school in elementary school. And they wanted me to do that. So I had a good foundation in terms of a biblical foundation and a worldview going into my junior high and high school years. I think there was good that came out of that. I think that I did have a good biblical foundation, but I also, that was all I knew. So when I got into junior high and high school, I hadn't had to make decisions on my own in terms of like, should I watch that movie? Should I listen to this type of music? Should I go on that website? All of these different things. It was just always kind of chosen for me in that setting. And when I got there, um, I started experimenting with all of those things, like a lot of people do at that age. And it caused me problems later on in my life. Now, I don't think that's my parents' fault in any way. They were trying to protect me. And me being a dumb seventh grader at the time, just started making decisions that were hurtful to myself. And it caused a lot of tension between my parents and I. And so wherever you're at with your parents, some of you are like me and my parents are best friends, and you're not feeling that. Some of you are like, my parents
Yeah.
annoy me all the time. My
Right.
parents are have no idea how technology works. They don't know why I want to be on TikTok or Instagram or all these things. Like your parents really do want the best for you. Um, the way they go about describing that sometimes may be frustrating to you. And I think one thing to remember is that number one, your parents do love you, and number two, like if you're a Christian, if you are have said Jesus, I give my life to you, you're commanded to obey your parents. And so, for you to not obey your parents is for you to choose yourself or what you want over what God wants for your life as well. And so I would just like sit in that tension of like understanding like my parents really do love me. They do frustrate me at times, but I'm called and I'm commanded to obey them. And so we're going to talk a little bit, and Jacob's going to tell his story a little bit too of like how do we balance that? Because I sit here with frustration, yet I know I'm supposed to be doing something else. And so how do you navigate that kind of framework? So
Yeah.
what would you say? What would you say, Jacob?
Yeah. So I'll tell you guys a little bit of my story and just how I grew up. So, as most of you know, if not all of you, I didn't grow up in a Christian home. My parents had me when they were super young. So, they had me when they were 18 and 19 years old. My dad was 19. He was going to school at that time to go get into like fire science to get to be like a firefighter. So then ends up, he's having a kid as a young man. He's like, okay, my career needs a shift. So got into working for Pepsi, and so then started to get into like going up into upper management into Pepsi and Pepperidge Farm and different companies like that. And then my mom got a job waiting tables as soon as she was out of high school. So my parents had to immediately start working to be able to, provide for, who my little baby self. And so they didn't necessarily get along. They ended up, they were super young. They were in a relationship until I was 4. Then they broke up. They never got married, so technically never got divorced. They just separated. And through that, like I had a lot of bitterness towards my parents. Number one, for the situation that I was in, I didn't feel like I was loved a lot of the times. I felt like our
Mhm.
relationship was just really hard because, my mom had me at 18 years old. Like, could you imagine like
Yeah.
a senior in high school? Some of my seniors that are listening, she was pregnant with me before she graduated. Like now she would I would like was conceived around January, so she had like a baby bump going into like prom and had
Mm.
me, in September. And so like there's no manual for 18-year-olds to have kids like
Yeah.
at that age. And so,
Mhm.
you know, it's a lot of like, and in high school, like why I love high school ministry so much, that time was difficult for me because I felt like I had parents. My dad at this point, when I was in high school, he had started his own family, lived in Temecula, felt like he had kind of the white picket fence.
Mhm.
He had two boys and a girl. I was like visiting him every other weekend. And then my mom just didn't, I felt like I never connected with her on an emotional level. Like
Yeah.
there was no like hugs or like, how are you doing in school? It was like met with like, okay, why are you doing so bad in school? why are you messing up? So it didn't feel like there was a connection there. And so for
Mhm.
me, like I grew up resenting both of my parents. Number one, my dad had seemingly this perfect family. And then, like I was kind of like attached somewhat. And then I had
Mhm.
like living with my mom, who was then like not able to connect with, provided for me very well. Like she has a good paying job. I can never say like I lived in poverty. Like I always had food, always had clothes
Mhm.
for school, like all that stuff. She provided really well for me, and that's how I found out she like showed me love. Anyways, was through like
Mhm.
buying me stuff or like, hey, you need money for this, or she was very willing to give me money, but to have
For
like
sure.
actual emotional conversations or invest in me or to teach me how I should be living life without yelling
Mhm.
at me. I didn't have that. So I grew up resenting both my parents. And I think like what I wanted to talk to you guys about mostly, or the way that, I've been able to deal with my parents. Once again, they're not Christians. They didn't go to church. They don't
Mhm.
understand like what I believe. Now, even recently, the past like few years, I've been, I have Jesus who has forgiven me, for all of my sins, before I even knew him, right? Like before I even
Mhm.
called on his name, like he was willing to die on the cross for me. And like understanding that I might never get like an apology from my parents. Like I might never
Mhm.
hear them say like, I'm sorry for not
Yeah.
emotionally connecting with you, or, not reaching out to you enough because, during that high school years, like I didn't really reach out to my dad, neither did he reach out to me. And so like our relationship got kind of torn, at
Yeah.
that point. And so like later on in life, because I took the call to follow Jesus, once again, way later in my like Christian life, or like my new life, like as a Christian, I started thinking like, what does it look like for me to actually forgive them without maybe ever hearing a formal apology of things that
Yeah.
they've hurt me in the
Yeah. Yeah.
past. And so there's a point where like I need to be able to forgive them for the things that they've done, without necessarily seeking out apology, so then I can continue that relationship and to be that love of Christ that that I have now, that I've received from Jesus. And so
Mhm.
I think for a lot of you, the people that maybe are in harder situations, that maybe you don't have a good relationship with your parents and things are difficult, like know
Yeah.
there's going to be an opportunity that you're going to be able to be away from them, like in a healthy way, right? Like okay, maybe you go to college, you get a job, you move out, and there's an opportunity for you to think like, okay, I need to I need to forgive them for what they've done, because the other thing, what you're going to do is just end up hating them the rest of your life, and that's not okay, and like we shouldn't be living that out. If we follow Jesus, if we're a Jesus follower, that's not how we should live our life, with just hatred in our hearts.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so there's a process of like being able to forgive them. And right now it may be really hard and difficult, and you, once again, you have small group leaders, you have pastors who love you and want to walk
Yeah.
through life with you guys.
Mhm.
But just know that there's going to be an opportunity to present like forgiveness to your parents, and like you should be willing to offer that to them. And
Yeah.
and I think that's what's hard, is like asking a junior higher or a high schooler
For
at
sure.
this time in their lives to like, hey, forgive them now,
Yeah.
because like, so I think it's difficult, and not saying you should hold on to it for as long as I did, but if you
Mhm.
could start walking that process of like, okay, maybe, once again, my life situation is they were young, they didn't know how to parent. I'm not going to blame
Yeah.
them. I can't sit there and blame them. And maybe
Yeah.
your situation looks totally different, but there's an opportunity, like Mike said, is like everything that they did, hopefully with the intention is that they love you and care about you, whether that's
Mhm.
like telling you to not play video games for 10 hours that day,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
having a curfew, and that might be the
Mhm.
worst thing. Like know that they're doing those things out of love, even though it might not feel like it.
Yeah.
And for the high schoolers that are in really hard situations or really tough situations, know that it'll pass, and there'll be an opportunity
Yeah.
for you to be an adult. And that
Mhm.
like when you're older, like just have the opportunity and know that you should forgive them, and forgive them openly
Yeah.
and honestly. But
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
think that's kind of like where I'm at. Two different situations, but like I
For
think it's really
sure.
good for students to hear.
Yeah, and that's even the first time I've heard your story, like with your family in that much detail. And I think it's
Yeah.
just really, really powerful to just see two different like upbringings or like stories, be able to come to a place where um, you're in a place where you still have to forgive your parents at times. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Yep.
whether it's been like little things or big things, like whether like it's just you're gonna have to forgive them at some point. Like you have to remember, like to our students, like you're not perfect because you're human.
Right.
Like I'm not perfect because I'm human, and your parents are human as well. And so they're gonna make mistakes. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna say things that are hurtful. They're gonna do things that are hurtful that they don't know are hurtful.
Right.
And you just have to be able to like operate out of the framework of like majority of the time they're not trying to hurt me right
Right.
now, and understand that like we just do things that are hurtful. And someone said this to me a few months ago of like how to deal with people, and they were talking about how we have a tendency to want people to judge us based on our intentions, but we judge people based on their actions. And
Right.
so like the way that I present what I do, like what I say, the way I act, like the things that frustrate me, like
Yeah.
or if I had kids, like what would frustrate my kids are my actions that I do to them. Yet
Right.
we as people want people to judge us off of, oh, that's not what I meant, or I didn't intend for it to come across that way. And so like we want people to judge us based on our intentions,
Totally.
but we judge other people on how it comes across rather than their intentions. And so, like, being able to have a conversation, be like, hey, I know you well enough to know that you don't hate me.
Right.
And like, you're not just trying to be a jerk. And Hannah and I do this all the time where like she'll get mad at something I say, and I'm just like, okay, let's slow down. I'm really, really sorry.
Right.
You know that my heart is not to hurt you.
Right.
Um, and so like this was my intentions. It came out terribly, and I'm really, really sorry. And being able to have that conversation, and I feel like that most parents would be open to that. If you went up to them and they said something hurtful to you, and you're like, "Mom and Dad, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but like what you said really did hurt.
Right.
And can we just talk about this?" And like I know that sounds like so impossible to happen, and I think about myself in junior high, and I'm like, that would never happen in the
Right.
world. But I
Yeah.
bet you, if I would have done that to my parents, it would have opened up so many avenues of conversation that we
Yeah.
weren't going back and forth all the time, and we'd
Right.
be able to have like a little bit more of an understanding with
Yeah.
each other, in the midst of differences in opinion, me not wanting to be home at midnight or whatever it is, versus their wanting me to have a curfew. Like it
Right.
would open up opportunities to just have conversation about those things rather than just like building up these walls, and the only time you talk is when you're like jabbing at each other,
Right.
you know.
And that's so true. And like, I think that's what's so great about, number one, our age. Like, I'm
Hmm.
26, you're 25, right?
Yeah.
25? Okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's right. January 3rd is your birthday? 4th. Dang it. Anyways, being the age that we are, we're able to connect with students and
Hmm.
their like dealings with their parents, like the things that they're
Yeah,
struggling with, because that was only
hmm,
10, 12 years ago, which seems like a
for
long
sure.
time, but in the scheme of life, it's not that long.
Yeah.
And then we're also getting to the point where, I don't have kids, you're about to have a kid, but to that
Mm-hmm.
point where we can understand why our parents did the things that they did or said the things that they did to teach us whatever
Hmm.
they wanted to teach us to begin with. And so we're
Yeah,
able to like empathize with both groups, and like
for sure.
we come along this like middle group and help each side understand each other in a way,
Hmm.
which is just
Yeah.
really cool and really beautiful. It just gives us an opportunity to love on students and help them in their relationship with their parents. And like parents, if you're
Yeah.
listening to this, we would love to be able to have more conversations with you guys of what
Hmm.
it looks like to deal with a junior high or a high schooler,
Yeah.
like because it's hard, and today's day and age, it's so different from even when I grew up, and that was like not even that long ago.
Yeah.
The kids are so much their social media, which was not as prevalent as I was growing up. It was like you would
Hmm.
have to go home and go on your computer just to get on it. It wasn't in my pocket
Yeah.
readily available.
Yeah.
And so like and I have a Instagram and a Facebook, and like I check those things so I understand what kids are
Hmm.
intaking and stuff, and like all the things why they can be so easily addicted or going on it so much. And so like parents, we would love to be able to have a conversation with you of like what does it look like if you need help, or if your
Yeah.
kid is struggling with something, or if you're struggling with your kid, like
Yeah.
once again, I can't be the example because I don't have a bunch of teenagers running around,
For
But
sure.
once again, I can empathize with your student a little bit more maybe than you guys can. And so would love to
Yeah,
be able to have that conversation. I don't know, and whatever that could possibly look like, just because, I think it could be really good and healthy for just our ministry in general.
for sure. And
Um,
I think,
what were you gonna say?
sorry, I just think too, like what I said to the students in regards to their parents. I think we could say the same thing to parents too. Like if you are listening,
Sure.
um, like your kids do love you.
Right.
Like I've had so many conversations with parents where it's just like I don't know what to do with so and so. I just feel like defeated, like I can't do anything, like they
Right.
don't listen to me or whatever. And it's like take a step back and like try and remember like what you were like at that age.
Yeah.
And like I think back to myself and I'm just like, my parents probably thought I hated them.
Right.
Like I probably
Right.
said some things that were really, really hurtful. And like parents have feelings too. You know what I mean? Like just because they're your
Yeah.
parent or they're the parent doesn't mean like the stuff that their 12-year-old kid doesn't hurt them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Like I even imagine the day that my daughter says, I hate you because I take something away from her. Like
Sure.
it brings tears to my eyes to even think about.
Right.
And it's just like parents are dealing with that, and like to know that Jacob and I and the small group leaders, like we're here for you
Right.
too. Like we
Yeah.
want you to be able to reach out to us of just like we're another voice in your child's life um to to come alongside you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're gonna share the truth about Jesus every single time we're with your students, but also like we want to help like be a partner with you in whatever it is that's
Yeah.
going on at home. Like if you're dealing with something that's difficult, like we want to help with that. Because a lot of times hearing something just from another voice, even if it's the same exact thing being said in a little bit different way, it just clicks at times. And so we're here for you guys, and we want to help with whatever it is that you need from us. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What would you say would be some helpful tips for junior hires and high schoolers, to kind of glean from all this when dealing with their parents? Because in my mind, I was trying to think of like a couple of practical steps of like, okay, next time you get into like a verbal argument with your parents, what are
hmm
some things you do? Is there anything that is in your mind clicking immediately in when they're having those conversations?
I think that I think it's very easy to always snap back and use our mouths in ways that we shouldn't, and that's what get at least got me into trouble a lot when I was younger. And so I think if I were to tell junior high Mike something, I would say take a step back and go talk to someone that you can maybe vent those frustrations to, and that will talk you through what you're feeling, and kind of deplete that like anger. Like when you have a frustration with someone, you're like, okay, let's not try and solve this right now.
Right.
Let's like take a minute to cool off. And I think
Like a
like
cool down. Yeah.
yeah, a cool down period. But like you can use myself and Jacob or your small group leader as that cool down period person that you can maybe say the things that you're frustrated about. It's just like, this is
Right.
how I feel. This is what I want to say.
Right.
But like knowing that you shouldn't, because I think it's very easy to say something to your parents and then look back and be like, oh, that, okay, I probably shouldn't have said that. Even at a middle school age, you start to realize, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't
Right.
um, that big of a thing, or I just shouldn't have handled it that way. And just like having that cool off period to be able to connect with a leader, someone that you trust, so that they can, because we're on your side, like we're on your side, we're on the parent side, like we're here for you. Like it's
Right.
not like we're going to just be choosing sides. It's just like we want to help you walk this well.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit more we've experienced it. We've walked through the things that you're walking through,
Yeah.
and so we can kind of give you a little bit of perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's freaking huge. Just you talking about that cool down period, and I think you even said this earlier. What would it look like for a junior high or a high schooler to ask their parents, like, "Hey, can we talk about what just happened, or can we have
hmm
a conversation of like you made me feel this way?" Number one,
Yeah,
that would blow your parents' wigs off because they'd be
yeah,
freaking out. They'd be like, "What is this emotionally mature conversation out of
yeah,
this person?" But like a lot of us as like I remember in high school I was like, okay, they're the adult, they should come find me and talk to me and forgive me.
for sure.
But unfortunately that's sometimes not the reality. And like how cool would it be for you as a student to be the emotionally mature person to go and seek that
Yeah.
conversation out.
Yeah.
And it takes 10 seconds of bravery to like muster up the bravery, ask that one question of like,
Mhm.
I know you didn't mean this, but like, can we talk about this? Or, I just wanted to have a conversation about what just happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, then start from there. And then your parents will be like, oh my gosh, oh, well, hopefully they would receive that well. And
Yeah.
hopefully it would start a really good conversation about your emotions and why you're frustrated and get to the root of what the actual conversation was. And
Yeah.
so I think there's a cool off period, 10 seconds of bravery, asking one of those questions
For
just
sure.
in response. And then I think just going from there and continuing to do that, I think a lot of relationships, parents to students, would grow and blossom from something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think, just wanting to share, like, if you are having a really difficult time with your parents or just a situation in your house, like,
Mhm.
once again, we are always a soundboard, and maybe you feel like you're not in a place to forgive that person
Yeah.
in that time. Know that, like, once again, we're here to come alongside of you guys and to love you guys and
Mhm.
to be that emotional soundboard to when you feel like you're at the place where you can forgive them. We would love to be a part of that because
Yeah.
once again, if you continue just to hold on to that hatred or anger, it's just going to
Mhm.
either keep exploding or you're just going to continue that on through the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
that definitely isn't a way Christ wants us to live, right?
For
Like,
sure.
that's not part of his plan for us.
Mhm.
So um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I
any
think I'll say one more
sure,
thing with regards to you being the emotionally mature and going to ask the question of like, hey, I know you didn't mean this, but like, can we talk about it? Because it really hurt me.
right,
10 seconds of bravery. Um, just, oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought now. I had it and then I lost. Oh, here it is.
there it
I
is,
know, I feel like after talking to a lot of students, it seems like something very common that they say is it feels like my parents don't know me. Like they
right,
don't know what's actually going on.
yeah,
And that's because those 10 seconds of bravery have not been happening. Like if
right,
you were able to take that step of like, hey, this hurt, like, can we talk about it? It will open up those conversations so that your parents can know. Because I am sure majority of the time they want to know what you're going through. They want to know what they've said that's hurt you because they don't want to hurt you majority of the time. And so like being able to open up those conversations so that you can be in good relationship with your parents. Like I am really really close with my parents now at this age, and it is one of the biggest blessings in the world is having people that I trust, that I can say whatever, that do not judge me, that just want to help me figure out this thing. I was on the phone with my dad the other day because of the whole like stimulus check thing and like everything going on of how I haven't got it and like blah blah blah. Who do I call? Like
yeah.
your parents want to they want to help, and you sometimes we have to take the first step. So
Yeah, I think, and for me, like, I'm 26, just has started recently, probably when I was like 22, 23, realizing that I was tired of continually hating my parents.
yeah.
And so, there's just an opportunity. Like, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to continue to mess up. But once again, God doesn't call us to be perfect, but He always calls us to continue progressing in relationships
Hmm.
with people and continuing forgiveness. And
Yeah.
so, for you, just realize that and to know that, and once again, that we love you guys and we care about you, and just want to see you and your parents because now I'm 26 years old. This is the best relationship I've had with both my parents. Like
Yeah.
my dad texted me during Easter just to say like happy Easter. And that was like the first
Hmm.
time he did that in forever. It was super
Hmm.
sick. Like
Hmm.
pump. And so like, and it's great. Like I'm super happy to see what that, looks like
Yeah.
further on in the process. So
That's so cool.
we're not to a place where it's perfect, but
For sure.
continuing to push towards that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I'm excited. I don't know. I'm excited, and I hope like we're able to hear from students and leaders or whoever else listens to this about their own stories about their parents and how they've shown them forgiveness or had to be the emotionally mature one or
Yeah.
had to have hard conversations. Like
For
I don't
sure.
know. We love you guys, and
Yeah.
obviously we miss you guys beyond all belief. Once again, final list information: the herd, the way LB, the herd LB. We're out here. We love you guys. Peace. The peace out.
Later.